What's up, people? Welcome back to the show. I am Chance Ellison, and this is the Top 5 with Chance Ellison, who is me, your host. This week, I had a tough time figuring out what I wanted to do, so I put it to a poll, and you guys overwhelmingly said the top 5 best rom-coms of the 21st century. Now, last time I did a rom-com show, it didn't work out that well, but I think because I narrowed the scope, it might go a little better this time. It also might go a little better because, well, actually, I think two people here were on that show. But either way, I have a great panel discussion with me today. First of all, someone who's making his top 5 debut. He hasn't been on this incarnation of the show yet, but someone who decided to bring me over to this channel and put my show on. It is Henry Sanchez. Henry, what's
up? Yeah, man. This is going to be interesting. Going to talk about some love and got nothing but dudes here. So, what possibly could go badly?
What could go wrong? I know, right? Next to him, someone who was on, and he has some interesting thoughts on certain people. I'm just gonna cut to the chase. It's Zach Forbes.
Yeah,
Zach, how you doing?
Unfortunately, I'm doing good. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be on last week. I was busy chasing my best friend through the airport before she was on her trip to Italy to announce that I've loved her all along. So now that's all solved. I can move on and talk about other people going through the same incident.
Does she know you have a pregnant wife at home?
Oh, by the way, she completely said, no, I don't even know why you're talking to me, and then I had to go home to my wife.
Poor guy.
Okay, just making sure. Next to him, someone who hosts the show is very, very similar to this on a different channel. It has it for a lot longer. Malcolm Lay. Malcolm, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, and I'm pretty convinced Zach was chasing Greta Gerwig through the airport.
I just wait at every airport with a Greta Gerwig sign so she can become a cab driver just in case she comes off the plane.
That's very, very out of specific, but something I also buy Zach doing. And rounding out the show, someone who's new to all of this, it is Joe Harrison. Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, let's talk about rom-coms from a guy who's been single for the past 20 years.
Hey, it doesn't matter where you've been. It matters where you're going. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, don't worry. Nothing speaks romance like Henry Sanchez.
All right, so basically the way this works is we curate a top 5 list right here live for you people. We do that in 3 different selection processes. The first one is the nominations period. We each go around and nominate a different romantic comedy until we get to a top 7. In order for a movie to make a top 7, it has to get 3/5 majority vote. And lastly, as the veto rule is still in place. So if anything makes top 7 that I don't like, I can veto it and strike it from the record. But I have to do it before we move on to the next pick. So going to me first, this is weird to do off the bat, but I'm stretching the definition of rom-com just a little bit. I don't think too much, though, because my first nomination is going to be The 40-Year-Old Virgin. The 40-Year-Old Virgin combines a lot of great elements between like both rom-com and coming of age, but rom-com especially. The movie's hilarious. It builds a great relationship between Steve Carell and Catherine Keener, and also just the whole like journey Steve Carell go through with like a romance of failing upwards until he gets to where he's supposed to be throughout the film. The entire supporting cast is great. It's a great directorial debut from Joe Apatow, someone who I think may or may not, probably will, come up later in this show. I think this movie's hilarious. It has a really sweet romance at the center of it, and I hope you guys will open your minds enough to let this in the top 7. So I'm gonna go to Henry first.
I'm gonna go no, because I think this is more of a coming of age story than a romance, really. Even though he's a 40-year-old man, I feel like the elements and the beats are more coming of age like. So like if you would have stretched on a coming of age list, I probably would have given it to you there. But I think there's just more movies where the romance is the forefront versus the coming of age or like building up friendship and all that type of stuff where he's definitely growing up in this movie, but I don't know if he's truly learning love. He's just learning how to fuck.
Wow. Okay, well that was just said.
Fucking is part of romance too.
Someone who clearly didn't get the point of the movie, but whatever. I'm gonna go to Zach next.
I'm having a lot of deja vu because I feel like I've had to say no to this in the past. I'm hoping I said no because my biggest worry now is that I'm going to be such a hypocrite or and flip floppy and say yes to movies I said no before. At least Robert's not here to read off, out of context excerpts from my Letterboxd review to make me feel like a dumbass.
Let's go and check Zach Letterboxd while we're at it.
It's like, I hate Deadpool, but Zach's Letterboxd says such a revelatory movie. 4-Year-Old Virgin. It's funny. I have not seen it since 2006-ish, sometime when I was a teenager. And I just don't feel, especially I'm a huge Apatow fan, but I don't feel the emotional connection. I'm not as engrossed in the romantic elements of the story and his adventure as I am just enjoying the laughs, especially compared to a movie I'm going to bring up later. I think to be a top romantic comedy, it has to function, excel at both aspects of that, being a very funny movie, but really making me root for their romance and kind of being charmed and wooed. So I'm a no.
Okay, and I can't find Zach's Letterboxd to contradict what he's saying right now. So you
I
got to
don't
pass
have
on
a
this one.
40-year-old virgin review on it because I haven't seen it in forever.
Yes.
He does not. So
No fact checks.
I'm gonna go to Malcolm.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the 40-Year-Old Virgin very much, but I also going to have to say no to it. I think there's some better romantic comedies out there which kind of do fits really into the romantic comedy box, as opposed to sort of skirting around it a little bit. But yeah,
Is it true if you don't use it, you lose it?
I was a little caught up looking at Zach's Letterboxd. We'll be roasting later. But aside from that, 40-Year-Old Virgin does not make.
Is this your after show? Maybe we could talk an hour about my deep love for Pan.
Yes, we can. And that's a real thing, audience. Look it up. Joe, you didn't get a vote. What would you have said?
I would have said no for the same reason that the other three did, where I think it's really strong as a comedy, but we're talking about romantic comedies, and I think the romantic aspects are kind of like an underlying tone of the movie and not at the forefront, which I think is what really makes a rom-com a rom-com.
Okay, fine. I want to rescind my vote to give my next nomination to X-Men Apocalypse. That way Zach has to say yes.
Oh yeah, it's super romantic. Apocalypse captured my heart.
All right. So Joe, we're going to you for your first nomination.
My first nomination is 500 Days of Summer. I think it shows not only a relationship coming together, but also falling apart. And I think it has a lot of heart and funny moments in it. And there's a lot to take away from it, not just as a comedy, but just as a film. And the performances between Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel are just fantastic in that movie.
All right, so 500 Days of Summer is up for top 7. I know they're playing a certain person on this panel. I'm not gonna name names, but I'm gonna go first, and I'm gonna give this one a yes. I agree with everything Joe just said. It's such an interesting look at romance. It's a great coming out party for Mark Webb. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's great. Zooey Deschanel's great. The two of them together have fantastic chemistry. It does have a surprising amount of laughs, and it also does have a great amount of heart to it. So I'm gonna give 500 Days of Summer. Yes, too many number movies. Too many numbers. So that's my vote. I'm gonna go to Malcolm.
it does belong on this list. I really love this movie. It's just amazing, and the acting with Zoe and Joseph is just great in the movie.
All right, so that's the only reason Malcolm needs. 500 Days of Summer makes the top 7. The first movie to do so. Good job, Joe. Henry, and I already know what you would have said, so I'll give you a chance to gush at 500 Days of Summer.
Well, I'm just upset that you let Joe bring up my second favorite movie of all time. So there's that.
I didn't know he was going to do that.
I did not know he was going to do that, so I'm pretty angry at him, and I'm glad I beat him in Warzone now. But with that being said, I'm just glad it's on the list. I love this movie so much. It has realistic elements, has fantastical elements. It's got comedy. It actually has a strong romance, and it's also the reality versus expectations scene is one of the best in all movie history. So yeah, great.
Also, one of the most meme scenes in movie history, probably. And, Zach, what would you say?
First of all, 500 Days of Summer sounds like my biggest nightmare ever. 10 days of summer is enough. Zach, hot take. The sun is the goddamn worst. Get out of my eyes. Spring and fall go hand up. Summer, too much. Also, 500 days in a relationship, you're not that heartbroken. Do better. At least 2 years.
Damn.
A year and a half, amateur. But, mainly, this is another one. I had the DVD of 500 Days of Summer, but for some reason, I have not felt the need to put it in 10 years. And I think part of it is the pretentious asshole side of me started to push away from it a little bit because it just became such a thing. And that's not a reason. That I know I'm a dick, but it's still a real feeling inside of me. It's hard to return to a movie when it becomes such a popular, because I just need to be so cool, guys. So cool. So I probably would say no. Just this is a deep list for me. I have 22 movies that I really love, and it would have been right outside that cut. But
all right, so this episode of Zach's Takeaways tells you, son, go away, and if you relate for 500 days, you ain't shit. Zach,
wait, I don't even know how
you for your next nomination.
I'm just going to stay on point. My favorite movie is Up in the Air, and we'll save it. But another one, I said it's a strong list for me. 2 of these are in my top 10 of all time. I don't rewatch that movies. I think 3 or 4 of them I've seen 5+ times, because with romantic comedies, they are so highly watchable. And one of them that maybe compared to the Judd Apatow's other movies with the length and does not seem as rewatchable, but I get something so much out of it, and I've seen this more in theaters than I have any other movie, and that's Knocked Up. Now, Knocked Up has a lot of other elements to it as far as they're having a kid, but it is primarily a romantic movie. It's these guys coming together and trying to figure out the relationship to work with this child coming. And I watched it a couple months ago, halfway into my wife's current pregnancy, and I think maybe that situation made it hit so hard, but I bawled like a baby. There were sounds coming out just when watching the childbirth, whimpering like a little puppy, and it's gathered a new meaning for me. But I think compared to 40-Year-Old Virgin, the heart of it and the emotional impact is so much stronger, while it's still just hilarious whenever it decides it wants to be. And Katherine Heigl, we have all the negative out of film things to make us not view her so highly, but I think on the screen she really works. And to make that relationship work with the Muppet that is Seth Rogen, that you can't imagine any woman wanting to be with that version of Seth Rogen, at least. He's able to find a new kind of charm that you can understand now, a professional charm. But this is slacker version of Seth Rogen. It's hard to find a Katherine Heigl person to fall for, but I believe it completely. You can see that chemistry, I think, sparked pretty well, and so that's a good performance. Henry's taking really deep notes. I am concerned.
I'm very curious where he's gonna go. So I'm gonna go to him first. Henry, Knocked Up. Does it make top 7?
See, this is tough because neither of these were on my list, Knocked Up or 40-Year-Old Virgin. I feel like this one qualifies more. I'm going to go no, just because I feel like it's never been one. This is my type of comedy. It's never been one that I've considered a favorite or anything, especially with the romance elements, because I'm a sucker for the romantic parts of it. And there's some here where I just am drawn in on the romance more. So I'm going to go no, but not a bad choice.
All right, so that's 1 no for Knocked Up. I'm going to go to Joe.
Me?
Joe.
Oh,
yeah, no, Joe.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, you cut off for a second. I'm going to go yes. This was actually someone that was on my list too. I really think that it does kind of fit into a romantic comedy because you do see these 2 characters coming together. And like Zach was saying, I do think it is a believable kind of progression of their relationship, from Seth Rogen being the slacker type and then Katherine Heigl's character type, kind of like an unlikely pairing that comes together not only because they're having a child together, but developing a deeper relationship from that. I think works very well, and that's why. So good choice, and I'm giving it a yes.
All right, so that's one yes. One yes. I'm gonna go to me next, and yeah, I'm passing this one through. This one gets a yes from me. It was on my list. I find Katherine Heigl to be a nightmare, both on set, on screen, and this movie makes you tolerate her, which is no small feat. I do think this is a very different kind of role we've seen Seth Rogen that we expected, because it's something where he's at the forefront, got a little more dramatic weight behind it, and he's fantastic. The two of them have a surprising amount of chemistry. I think they're funny. Like the entire also like the whole thing with Paul Rudd, the stuff with Leslie Mann, his crew that they live together. They all get a big laugh. So yeah, Knocked Up gets it gets the yes for me. It's a movie that I also find super watchable. So Knocked Up is the second movie to make top 7. Malcolm, what would you have said?
I mean, this was tough because I do like this movie. I probably would have said yes because I do think it belongs to the top 7. Whether or not it gets in the top 5 is yet to be determined.
All right, well, Malcolm, we're going to you next for your first nomination.
All right. The first one I'm going to bring up is one of my favorite romantic comedies of all time. It's also a Christmas movie. I'm going to go for Love Actually. This is one that, well, yes, people say is a Christmas movie, but it's also fits as a romantic comedy as well, because like love is the central theme. And the endings when you see everyone at the airport and seeing all the sort of real couples there that Richard Curtis used, like it just brings in that added realism to the movie, and just shows that like anyone can fall in love, like, and all that. Just it's got great cast like Alan Rickman, Rowan Atkinson, and it's pretty much the who's who of British comedy. So yeah, Love Actually is on the table.
Well, I maybe we'll talk about why I don't think that's true later on in the show. But I'm gonna go to Zach first for his vote. Love Actually, does it make top 7?
This is the first time I realized that the title of Love Actually kind of has like a superiority complex. Like, you think you've seen love before. Actually, this is what love really is. But I think because of its episodic nature, it is more vulnerable to not having a consistent my cat's being crazy like a consistency to it, and I think some of the plot lines work better than others, and I think I prefer the ones when they're a little more heartbreaking and emotional, like the Alan Rickman Emma Thompson storyline. And I also, on the comedy end, I love like Bill Nye in this movie. He's great. But there's, first of all, a Richard Curtis movie that's a lot better than this, that holds together as a full piece. And this one it's nice light fare, does not hit me as strong, and half of it I can just walk out of.
All right, so that's one no for Love Actually. I'm gonna go next. Short and simple. I don't find this movie very romantic, and I don't find it very funny also. So short and sweet, it's a no for me. I'm gonna go to Joe.
It's a Christmas movie. I agree with you guys. I don't really find it that funny. I think it works better as a Christmas movie. I watch it during Christmas time, and I find it enjoyable when you look at it as a Christmas movie. But when you look at it as a romantic comedy, like Zach was saying, there are parts of it that you just can really like walk away from. Go order a pizza, go actually pick up the pizza, and then come back, and you haven't really missed much. So for that reason, I'm gonna have to go no on this one.
I love that criticism. It's a perfect movie you can go out and get food during. So Love Actually does not make top 7. Henry, would have been a clean sweep?
Yeah. I mean, this movie was fine. I don't know if it was overhyped or what, but like on paper, like this would have been my type of movie for romance, and it just wasn't. I mean, it was fine. Like nothing really bad about it, but nothing that really drew me out. The whole Andrew Lincoln storyline's like kind of a waste, and you don't feel for it. You're not really engaged. You don't really care, and it's just kind of weird.
I mean that storyline pretty much him trying to steal his best friend's girl.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, and it's just a waste.
Pretty fucked up.
Yeah, it's not a fan of that. So it's like, yeah, and then the movie's not really that long, so you can just tell there's just not much there. And if they did a remake, maybe they could do it better. But this one, not so much.
All right, so Henry, we're going to you next to round out our first.
All right, so I mean, there's a bunch that I want to say, and this one's tough. There's one of these on my list that I know for sure will at least get one vote. One of these I'm pretty sure will get two, and two of these I'm not sure if they would qualify. So it's tough.
Thanks
to say.
for the breakdown. I'll keep the stats just to.
Well, I'm just
check
trying to. We only have one on the list, so I'm just trying.
We have two.
We have two.
I forgot to put Knocked Up on there. I'm just gonna go La La Land. La La Land. It's hilarious. The comedy is a mixture of character, development and just how these characters. There's some slapstick humor. There's some jokes where just how they interact with each other, and there's a lot of heart to it. The romance is the through and through line. Spoiler alert, they don't get together at the end, so it has a similar 500 Days of Summer vibe to it, where it's not always a happy ending, but you kind of just grow up and accept that's just what you are, and they're kind of like the driving forces for each other's, growth as people and as musicians or artistic people, and it's beautiful, and the music is great. It makes you really invested in it. You fly through it the entire time. You have fun, and La La Land is great. People who think it's overrated are dumb.
All right, well, are one of those people actually on this panel? Let's find out.
We shall see.
I'm going to go to the definite yes. I'm going to go to Malcolm first.
Yeah, I mean, I like La La Land. It's great, but
Don't say no for the sake of
poster's
proving
right
wrong,
behind your
dude.
head.
The poster's right behind you.
I almost fell for it.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to keep a poker face and build up to just going to say yes anyway. But yes, La La Land deserves to be on the list. It's a great movie. Like Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone just have great chemistry when you see them on screen together.
All right, so that's one yes for La La Land. I'm gonna go to. I think there's less of a chance of a rant with this. I'm gonna go to Joe.
So I'm going to say no, and the only reason is I love La La Land as a movie, but I think it's better as a musical, and I find it more having a dramatic nature than a comedy nature. So that's my reason. Is I think it's more of a drama than it is a comedy. That's my reason.
I appreciate your honesty. I'm gonna see how this one goes. I'm gonna go to Zach next.
Yeah, I am trying to find. I don't know why you think I'm like this.
I don't know. I think
there's La La Land.
There's always a chance. There's always a chance you could
With
do a
any
rant out of
movie.
nowhere. With
Yeah.
anything.
I mean, Emma Stone. Don't get me fucking started.
Jesus.
I love her.
Okay, I believed you for a second.
I can center in that anger really quickly. I really like La La Land. I think it is like it works best as a spectacle, like the dramatic flares and the big musical scenes, and I think the romantic elements are pretty successful too. But I am kind of judging these movies. I said as a romantic comedy, I need to achieve just as well comedically as it does romantically. I think it does classify as a romantic comedy, but compared to these rest, it doesn't hit both of those concepts as well.
Fair.
I cannot think of words today.
It took you a little bit to get there. All right. So it's 2-2. So go to me 2 for the tiebreaker. The La La Land is an excellent film. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. It was in my top 10 the year it came out. However, when you say the words rom-coms, is La La Land something that jumps in my mind? No. I think the romance is pulled off great. It's a great romance between Mia and Sebastian. However, the comedy isn't hitting as hard. It hits the rom harder than it hits the com. Now, the com, there's some really like good jokes in there, but not enough for me to consider it. No, not the com. Yeah, the com is not delivering on the com. So because of that, I have to give La La Land a no, despite the fact that I do love the movie. So
I think
La La Land. Good.
On my spreadsheet, I think I have it labeled a musical comedic romance. So that means romance comes first. Comedic romance different than romantic comedies. The com-rom.
The com-rom.
Muse com-rom.
Top five com-roms of all time. All right, so
It's my rapper name, Kamran.
La La Land does not make top 7. Going back to me next, and this is a tough one, but I'm gonna go with one that I think is just genuinely like fucking excellent, and I'm gonna go with 2017's The Big Sick. The Big Sick tells a very unconventional rom-com because it's about a comedian falls in love with a girl before she ends up in a coma, which you would think wouldn't lend itself to be like a rom-com, but it really does. Like they build relationship enough within like the first part of the movie to where you follow up the entire thing. Kumail Nanjiani is fantastic. So is Holly Hunter and Ray Romano, who plays the girl's parents. Zoe Kazan, despite the fact that she spends half the movie asleep, is good when she's actually delivering lines. It has a great core message about family. It has a great core message of going against what you're supposed to be or what you're meant to be. And it's a sweet movie about being true to yourself. Michael Showalter directed it fantastically, and yeah, I think it's a fantastic film that should be on the top 7 at least. So I'm gonna go to Henry first this time.
Yeah, The Big Sick is a movie that is just fantastic. It makes has a great 9/11 joke, which is always nice.
That's Henry's number one thing he looks for in a movie.
9/11 jokes.
Yeah.
Next week's show, top 5 9/11 jokes.
Top 5 9/11 jokes.
Yeah. So Malcolm, you're one to talk. Your choice of words are not always great. But anyway,
I don't want to hear from you, Malcolm.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so they're a Cubs fan. It actually makes Ray Romano lovable and great, but also kind of like that sad puppy at times. Holly Hunter is fantastic. The scene, it's saddening, but it's also really funny. The scene where she snaps off at the dude in the comedy club because she's just having a bad day, and it's just like people do that, and she was like, "Fuck you, little prick!" Like she's just like snapping on this dude. It's like fantastic, and it's one of those things where you don't really appreciate it until later, but like the fact that like the comedy, the stand-up in the movie is like actually like not very good. I think that's intentional because it's kind of like supposed to give a realistic tone to it. Like these guys are doing 5-minute sets, 5-10 minute sets, every on the weekend and stuff. Like they're not professionals, or they technically are, but they're not like great comedy comedians. So it's like the fact that the comedy is not that great, it's kind of like smart, and just the the chemistry between Kumail and Zoe Kazan is just fantastic. And just all the good elements. The Indian family thing, the I wonder who that could be. The mom, fucking hilarious.
They're Pakistani, they're not Indian.
Yeah, well,
Oh
sorry.
God.
Good thing we edit these videos.
No,
So,
we
yeah.
For the show.
All right, fact check. They're from
Ruined my
Pakistan,
joke.
they're not Indian.
No, sorry, 5 viewers. Didn't mean to offend you.
And also, so that's one vote for The Big Sick. I'm gonna go to Zach.
Whoa, I was for some reason not prepared at all to go. I forgot my whole spiel. The Big Sick, it's an entertaining movie. I think it takes some chances in a lot of parts, especially focusing so much on the parents, but then it falls into the genre staples, which is what he wanted to do. He definitely has a love, or Johnny has a love for the genre, and still wanted to use some of those classic romantic cues. I just don't think they like necessarily age into the 21st century. So I feel like they were meant for the early 2000s and 1990s. But I never fully fell for their romance. I think that's because they're not really together for half the movie. She's in a coma. So you're not given as much time. I'm much more invested in his relationship with her parents. And as far as the stand-up comedy, it's okay. I think they're like real life personas of those A.D. Bryant and what's his face? Bo Burnham, who I like have a hard time with his stand-up anyway, so there might have been some bias. But they're just so annoying off stage, just constantly cynical for no reason. I think I like to give hints of future movies that may come up just to build the worms. There's a movie that does the stand-up a lot better. And still, like Henry says, can be bad. It's an important part of it, but I think it was truer to what I expect the stand-up.
That stand-up's interesting.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're going with that one.
You guys know me too well.
It's on my list, so
it's like we did this exact show before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy The Big Sick. I mean, I didn't expect to enjoy it myself, as I really don't like Ray Romano as an actor, but this movie made me
You don't like his neck? What did you say? Like Ray Romano's neck?
As an actor,
I said I don't like Ray Romano as an actor.
I hate the back and forth Whitaker's neck.
That would have been a Zach take. Like, I just can't stop staring at Ray Romano's big, fat fucking neck.
But
Yikes.
But yeah, sadly, The Big Sick does get a big no from me. I just don't think the comedy shines in the movie that much.
All right, so it's 2-2. Joe, the tiebreaker.
Big Six is going into the top 7. It actually is one of my favorite movies of 2017, and I think once again, what I like so far is like how all 3 of the choices that made it so far are giving realistic like depictions of romance and relationships and differences in cultures and personalities, and to me, that's what really makes the romance part of it stand out, is a realistic depiction of romance. And then the stand-up, as decent as it is, I think that like being able to laugh at how bad it can be, and also the interactions and the 9/11 joke as much as like it's weird for me to say, but it was a great 9/11 joke, which is hard to do. So for those reasons, it's going into the top 7.
There was one 5-second line that was so great, it just belongs in our top 5. Continue.
That's it. That's how it goes, man. That's how it goes. Going to Joe for his next nomination.
My next nomination is Nick and Nora's Epic Playlist.
You mean Infinite?
Infinite
Playlist. Yeah, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. I don't know movie names. Henry can tell you this. He kicked my ass.
It was close.
But yeah,
Nick and Nora.
Yeah, Nick and Nora. I think just like for me, I'm a huge music fan, and to see people connect through music and just their journey to find the concert that they're going to, and seeing them connect and grow as people, and just the trials and tribulations that the movie puts them through as they're on this journey, and their connection as people, and just the people that are in the movie with them and the characters they interact with, I think are all spot on, and it's just an amazing movie in my opinion.
All right, so Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist is up for top 7. This one's question. This is on my list. I think this is a movie that I think hinges on your tolerance for both Michael Cera and Kat Dennings.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you have a good tolerance, you'll like it. If not, it will really get on your nerves. It's a tough one for me, but I'm going to lean towards Noma because it lied. That playlist was not infinite; it ended. So, Nick and Nora get to know for me. I'm gonna go to Malcolm.
Before even you was on this, I started watching it this morning. I actually did start watching it this morning because it just come on to Netflix in New Zealand. But then I got a phone call and I just forgot to continue watching it. So, based on the first 10 minutes, I have to say no.
Just the first 10 minutes. Okay. All right, so that's 2 no's. Not looking good, Joe.
No, it's not.
I'm gonna go to Henry.
Yeah, like you said, you can only have so much love for Kat Dennings, and she's gonna get brought up later, maybe. So can't do it now. No, I'm just kidding. Haven't seen this movie. Didn't really feel for it. So.
Oh wow.
I know Henry likes to think that he knows what he's talking about, so I was about to call like Henry didn't see that. I can tell.
All right, so that's it. Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist does not make top 7. Zach, what would you have said?
I love Nick and Nora's Playlist. I'm just joking. No one loves that movie except for Joe. I actually
get used to us, Joe.
I was super. I was super pumped for it when it came out. I don't know why I was so hyped. I think because as an awkward 19-year-old boy at that time, Michael Cera was every awkward 19-year-old boy's avatar in the late 2000s. So I was pumped for his movies. That's a regretful thing to look back on now. I don't know why I cared about Kat Dennings, but for some reason I was pumped for the movie, and it was just like it was fine. It was just very, very forgettable. Did not leave a mark at all, except for Joe. Left a big mark in Joe's heart.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's it. Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist does not make the top 7. Zach, going to you for your next nomination.
Yo, it's my favorite movie of all time. Very predictable. It's High Fidelity. I think we are already
made it. 2000. Barely made it. We got lucky.
Barely made it.
Yeah. I almost forgot about it, actually. Like, just in my short list at the end. And it's no movie I've seen more. I think we are kind of coming up with a male-centric list, but what do you expect with this? But I don't think any movie has really delved into the romantic male persona as well as High Fidelity did. Examining his kind of romantic personality himself and kind of being reflective and confronting, his own, issues as far as how he has treated women or has seen women. Because you watch half of it and you could be like, this movie does not age well, like in the Me Too movement, because he kind of treats these women horribly and he kind of idolizes them in a pretty shallow way. But that's, once you realize where it's going, that's the whole point of the movie, is how he comes to terms with, how he has valued women, and like maybe he is more to blame than he's ever given himself credit for, and that helped resolve the relationship that they do return to so often in the movie to make you feel invested and make you feel their struggles. That makes their reunion feel earned, and the last like 20 minutes of this movie is really well deserved throughout. I fucking love High Fidelity. It moves me in other ways, and it is very funny with having Jack Black there. And I think Todd Louise, who plays the other, timid record store worker, is also really funny in his, timid way. And they had that scene where he gets to smash Tim Robbins over with an air conditioner, which is great that he got to be that person in the dream sequence. And in real life, Todd Louise smashed Tim Robbins' head with an air conditioner in real life. But it's the best. So you all say yes. It makes the top 5. Great.
Okay, well, not yet, Zach. So High Fidelity is on the table, and going to Joe for his vote.
I'm going to say yes. I think that Zach hit it well on. It's actually one of the first movies that I actually have an actual memory of watching. Because I'm a young guy. I'm only 21, so I think like my parents, you would let me stay up late and watch movies with them. And so this has just always stuck with me. And I think that even as Zach was saying, like you were able to see that he does have that the main character is flawed, but he's able to work through his flaws and, start really like figuring out what he truly wants from a relationship. And it goes through obtaining that in a way that I think is very cinematic and actually does age well.
Okay, so that's one yes for High Fidelity. I'm going to go Malcolm.
Haven't seen it.
God bless. Okay.
Dear God.
Well, I'm going to the next. Because High Fidelity, it makes sense. High Fidelity is great. John Cusack is awesome. Stephen Frears is actually pretty underrated as a director. He's got some really, really solid films under his belt. And I think this is like the high point of it, not to disrespect his other work, but High Fidelity is fantastic. And because of everything Zach and Joe just said, High Fidelity makes top 7. Henry, what would you have said about High Fidelity?
Yeah, I've only seen it the one time, but I really liked it. And it's one of those movies that, honestly, if I watch it again, it could probably be top 100 material. So it's a fantastic movie. Zach, thanks for introducing it to me, and you're a good guy.
All right, so going back to Malcolm for his vote.
I'm going to go for the Richard Curtis movie that I think Zach was hinting at that I should have brought up, and it's about time I brought it up. But
I'm about to say no just because of that.
but yeah, no.
Take it back.
Take it back. Walk it back.
I'll go back. I'll go back in time and take it back. But yeah, like introducing the concept of time travel into a romantic comedy is such an interesting take, and it's one that I never thought I'd see before. It's got Bill Nighy once again. It's got Domhnall Gleeson. Can't remember who played the. I think it was Rachel McAdams that played the love interest of this, but it's yeah. I mean, it's pretty sort of heartwarming. It's like if you go back in time, change something about a date, and then for something to change to try and see if you can sort of do stuff differently and introduce new bits of romance into the life. It just brings up that interesting sort of thing, like what if you could go back and take back something stupid you may have done on a date.
Okay. So About Time is up for the top 7. I'm going to go to Henry first this time.
This is another one I have not seen.
Oh, wow.
This is
Okay.
on paper. Once again, on paper, I feel like this is a banger for me, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. So I regret it every day I haven't yet. But Rachel McAdams is also
banger, like Richard Curtis. Banger.
All right, so that's one no. I'm going to go to Zach.
Yeah, so I made a short list. It's 22 movies. This is like farther down it, but I was gonna say yes to any of these because half of them would never get picked because Henry hasn't seen them.
Oof, relax.
Just joking. But I think it works best as a father-son drama, which I think that's just from my perspective because that stuff usually works for me real well. And once again, oh my gosh, Bill Nye is just great, and he makes that work so well and delivers these heartfelt speeches so well. But Rachel McAdams, somehow she like missed the slew of shitty late 2000s, mid 2000s romantic comedies because she could have been thrown right in all those. But she is like the perfect.
And in some cases, she was.
She's great in Aloha, by the way. I will defend that forever. She is a fucking charmer in Aloha. And she's really great in this. And even though they don't, I feel like the focus is not that much on that element because she's so charming and has great chemistry with. This is honestly the only performance I like of Domhnall Gleeson. I don't think he works well in most things. He just has like a weird skeptical look on his face at all times, including Ex Machina. He's not working Ex Machina. Brendan Gleeson. And it's weird because my deep love for Brendan Gleeson. Should have been Oscar nominated for Paddington 2 over Hugh Grant.
No.
But you can only pick one Gleeson.
Knuckles.
That's what my mom told me at a young age. But I'm a yes. It's a wonderful movie. I want to rewatch it now. I haven't seen it in forever, but it's on Netflix. I'll put it on. We'll all watch it together and fall in love with each other.
Don't tempt me. Going with me next. About Time. I remember I saw it. I'm like, okay, this is the better version of that other Rachel McAdams time travel rom-com that came out a few years earlier. It's enjoyable for sure, but I don't think it's top 7 material. So that's me, and we're going to Joe for the tiebreaker.
I haven't seen it, so sorry.
Oh.
It's on Netflix.
Oh boy.
I'll pop it on after this, and maybe I'll change my mind. But because I haven't seen it, I'm sorry, Malcolm. I can't have any opinion. But, so sorry.
I feel like based on your other picks, you love it, Joe. So watch it.
Yeah, you probably like it.
Netflix is one of my open tabs.
It's a lot better than Love Actually.
That is. That's not a high bar. So that's it. Well, About Time does not make top 7. Gonna go to Henry, see if you can get something on the list this time.
All right, so there's 3 from somebody I want to bring up. I doubt any of them get picked. One of them has a chance. There's one movie that I know Zach's going to bring up later, so I'm going to let him do that. So I'm just going to go out with it now. So there's 3. One for sure is considered the best movie, but I think you guys would knock the comedy element. So I'm going to go with The Wedding Singer. Adam Sandler. Big Adam Sandler guy.
It's 90s.
I did. That's why I didn't have it. That's why I didn't have it on the list. Okay. I was just all right, so I'm going with the
okay, we're on those. Next.
Hey, this is what happens when you're studying for a match while doing this, not paying attention. But I'm going to go Punch Drunk Love. You guys might knock the comedy element of it, but I think it's one of those dark comedies. It's the drawn back elements of it is just fantastic. How he's able to really be subdued the entire movie, and I think that's what's comical about Adam Sandler's character is Barry Egan. Just everything that he's doing, you kind of feel for it, and you're like, what is going on? And the more that you watch the movie and get invested in his character, you're just like, man, this guy, he's struggling right now, but it's kind of funny, but also really sad. The comedy, I mean, not the comedy, but the romance between him and Emily something. I always get the name
Emily Watson.
Emily Watson, yeah. I always get her and Emma Thompson's names mixed up. But Emily Watson, the romance is there because they're like she's going through like a midlife crisis kind of, and he's just kind of a loner. So like they're kind of just drawn together because, she has all these sisters and kind of low key trying to match him up. And I don't know. It's just one of those things where, once again, like I said, the realistic elements to it, everything on this list is kind of has that realistic feel to it. And this one's kind of, if you can't feel, you put yourself in the shoes of these two people, you might not feel it as being as realistic. But if you can, it's like super real, and just like how you're able to just kind of draw yourself to somebody romantically, even if you're not either attracted to them or they're not even your type. But sometimes if you're just in that place or time, you just kind of put up with whatever. And I feel like that this is shows that perfectly. So Punch Drunk Love, it's a great romance. It's a great comedy if you understand the comedy. And I'm not sure if you guys will go for it, but I chose this one over the other one. And my bad on the 90s mess up. Wasn't paying attention. It wasn't even on my list. I threw it in last second, and that's what I was like.
You want something, Sam. That's why you fucking did it.
No, it's a fantastic movie. You're just a hater.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I didn't say I didn't like it. Yeah. So Punch Drunk Love is. I'm just saying you want something, Sam. Punch Drunk Love on the table. Going to Malcolm first.
Yeah, I do enjoy Punch Drunk Love. It is a great movie. But Henry's right. I am going to knock it because of the comedy element. I think there's a better romantic comedy starring Adam Sandler, which does the comedy better than Punch Drunk Love. But I mean, Punch Drunk Love is a fantastic movie all the same. So it's still a no.
All right, Zach. So you said you're snickering. Going to you.
Punch Drunk Love is one of my next three I was going to mention. I think comedically it does really work well. And I just know, I can tell Henry is just determined to get an Adam Sandler movie on there. So I'm going to say yes, so that this is the one Adam Sandler movie that gets on it. But the romantic elements definitely work because you can see these flawed, troubled people really falling for each other. But Adam Sandler, his anger always brings laugh. And this is able to do it in a more, serious, not exaggerated way than his other movies. So I'm a yes. It's great.
All right, tied up, Joe.
Oh, and oh my God, Philip Seymour Hoffman, fucking hilarious in this movie.
Yeah, that scene alone makes the movie hilarious. Malcolm, you're a crazy person.
All right, tied up, Joe.
Punch Drunk Love is my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie, so it yes from me. I think it's darkly comedic. Whenever I'm actually working on film sets with my friend Chris, we always end up quoting the movie and talking about it. So I think just to me, it has stuck in my mind so much, and it's a quotable movie too, and it has these people drawn to each other. And I'm just happy that we're going for realistic depictions of love on this list, and so I'm really happy with that. And yeah, it's a huge yes for me.
All right, so Punch Drunk Love makes top 7, or does it? Challenge flag veto. No, I'm kidding. It stays. It stays. I'm not vetoing this off. I would beat the shit out of it. No, Punch Drunk Love, probably one I wouldn't have said yes to, but I have no problem with it being on the list. It is fantastic, and I think you're underselling the comedy a little bit because, like they're right. It is genuinely funny. So, yeah, I'm leaving it on top 7. So it means we're back to me, and there's a lot I could go with. There's really
2 spots left.
There's 2 spots left, and I don't know what to go with.
If one of these isn't one of the movies me and Zach wants on there, we'll be sad. So.
I'm not concerned. I am concerned that we're thinking of different movies.
There's a good chance you are thinking of different movies. Okay, but you know what? I'm gonna go with one that's like it's one of the ones that you would think of when you hear the words romantic comedy, and for good reason. It is one of the most notable ones to come out of the 2000s, and I'm surprisingly going with one that also has the involvement of Richard Curtis, going with Bridget Jones's Diary, which is a weird nomination coming from me, but I actually do think it's a really solid film. It's a great journey that you follow with Bridget Jones and her trying to get her life back together, which again is like the prototypical like rom-com formula, I guess, but it really works in this one. And not to mention, you have Renee Zellweger, who like when she was cast, people hated it just because she, of course, wasn't really British. But she came out, it's like Tom Cruise as Lestat in Interview with the Vampire, someone who on paper
always got to bring up Tom Cruise
at all. Doesn't fit the role at all, but she came in and she just killed it. She was awesome. She has great chemistry with both Colin Firth and Hugh Grant. Has a lot of great laughs, a lot of nice romantic element to it. And yeah, I think Bridget Jones' Diary is one that if we're doing top 5 of the 21st century, I think should be on the top 7. So I'm going to Henry.
Yeah, Bitch Drunk Diary is one of those where, at the time, like I didn't really get it because it came out 2001, something like that.
2001.
Yeah, and like I was a young boy, and I was like, not for me. Female-led comedy. But then as it got older, you kind of understand the elements of it and the romance. I don't know. I think it's more funny than it is romantic. Not saying it's not romantic, but I don't connect to it in that way. But I do think it is funny. So it qualifies on all ends. But I'm gonna go no, just because it's not one that I think about when I think of like this type of stuff. Similar to what I was saying, like Knocked Up and 40-Year-Old Virgin, just not quite there. But I mean, just because I don't have that emotional connection to it, maybe. So I'm the only one that's fine.
I'm gonna go to Zach.
First of all, because all of you mumble your way through Bridget, I keep hearing Drunk Diaries, which I'm in. Like, I want the Drunk Diaries to be a movie.
Bridget Jones
For sure. It's just like drunk history and alcoholics reading diaries. But guess what? I haven't seen it. However, it's on my wife's hospital packing list for her post-birth. We have a DVD player in our birth suite, so we will be watching it once this baby pops out. However, it's like a bootlegged Ecuadorian copy, so we'll see if it plays.
Why don't you just go buy the Blu-ray?
I don't want to watch it that much.
Okay, fine. All right, so I'm 2 down. Malcolm.
I'm going to save you here because I'm going to say yes. I really do love Bridget Jones' Diary. It's what was going to be my next one I was going to bring up anyway, so just saved me the trouble bringing it up. So, but it's definitely a great movie, and I disagree with Henry. I think the romantic elements really do work in this, and it does work as a romantic comedy. It's really great.
Okay, so comes down to you, Joe. Bridget Jones' Diary.
It never really resonated with me. Maybe I'm a little bit bitter because like the last time I did watch it, I watched it with my ex. So
Yikes.
it just has there's a bitter taste in my mouth. And even when watching it then, I didn't really find myself laughing that much. And I think Renee Zellweger gives a good performance, but it just overall the movie just really doesn't speak to me. So it's a no for me.
All right. So that's it. Bridget Jones' Diary does not make top 7. I'm going to go to you for your next nomination, Jeff.
My next nomination is 10 Things I Hate About You.
90s.
Yeah.
Guys, there's this great website called IMDb.
I literally didn't have mine on my list. I made a last-second thing, and I forgot what the list was for a second. That's why.
Someone who claims they're great at release dates. Someone's
I forgot what the topic was.
We need to check
when
a
I did
screen
it.
reflection.
Okay, so Joe, you want to try that again?
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Okay, that qualifies. That counts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really good. The opening scene alone is like not only heartbreaking, but it's also funny. Oh man, and just seeing someone having to not only like go through a breakup and dealing with all that, and then also like trying to not only find himself again, but like learn how to love again and like be able to like put himself out there and trust and find someone who he can like really be himself with. I think it's really, to me, that's a movie that just always resonated with me from someone who has been in that situation before, where it's just like, oh, like I'm single again. Am I ever going to be able to love again? And to me, that journey just is very believable and resonates. And a lot of people, men and women, can watch the movie and see themselves in it and connect with it on not only an emotional level, but also a level that makes them laugh and makes them cry. And that's why I'm nominating it.
All right, so, forgetting Sarah Marshall, I think technically hate about you for some reason, but forgetting Sarah Marshall is up for top 7. I'm gonna go to me next. This is on my list. It's a definite. It's one I was actually late to the game on, but as soon as I found it, I'm like, this is great. Jason Segel, fantastic. You can really tell he put a lot of heart into it, as he is both the star and the writer. I think he has a great dynamic with both Mila Kunis and Kristen Bell. Also, Russell Brand, maybe the most tolerable he's ever been in his career, which is It's saying a lot. You also get like a lot of great things about the side character. Like Paul Rudd cracks me up in that movie. Like every time he's on screen, he kills it.
Paul Rudd
So
is an American treasure.
yeah. So for Anton Marshall, it's a DS for me. I'm gonna go to Henry.
So I'm going to do the Zach rule on here. It's on the list, and I like it enough. Well, I mean, I really like it, but I don't want to say I like it enough, like barely. But yeah, I really like this movie. It's a little lower on my list, but I feel like that might just be because I wrote it that way, and I just wrote it later. But I really like this movie a lot. I mean, you know, whether or not Jason Segel fluffed when we see his wiener, that's for another story. Seth Rogen
says he did.
Yep,
I believe
exactly.
I fluff it up every morning.
Exactly. It's like need the confidence, but yeah. I mean, how terrible is that? Eating a big old bowl of cereal, naked as fuck, and you get dumped. Oof.
Yep.
And now we have 2 movies who go to Hawaii on the top 7, so that's pretty awesome.
Very true. Very true. All right, so that's it. So for Hazen Marshall, make the top 7. Malcolm, Zach, for the first time, you guys didn't get votes. So Malcolm, what would you say best for Gangster Marshall?
I would have said no. I mean, I like Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I've just got a few on my list that I think is better, and I think there's a better Jason Segel romantic comedy specifically.
Okay.
If he says sex tape, can we ban him from the league?
Sure.
And life.
Sure. And Zach, what would you have said about Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
There's Muppets. There's puppets in it, so yeah.
All right, Zach, we have one more spot. Do you have the movie to fill it?
All right, let's see if me and Henry were on the same page here. The movie that does stand-up comedy, I think, better than The Big Sick. A movie I am deeply in love with and watch fairly often. A actress I hope we get more of because right in front center, she's stellar, and that's Obvious Child. An underseen one. Obviously, it's fucking Obvious Child.
I didn't want to throw that pun out there.
Don't make Malcolm level jokes here, Chance.
I know. I didn't want to throw that pun out there earlier. Like, I don't know if we're on the same page. I'm like, obviously we are, but I didn't want to go there.
All right. I just didn't know if you actually liked that movie that much. I was unsure. So
top 10, 824.
Yeah. To me, watching this, for any examples, this is watching a romance kind of thrive through someone going through, a kind of horrible moment in her life, going through something very tragic, and watching Jake Lacey's character be so patient with her through it and so supportive, and every step of the way you expect it to go the other way, that he's not going to be there. That to me is one of the most romantic gestures in all the movies we have mentioned. Coming up, working to that final scene of them, spoilers, laying on the couch watching movies all day, and them just coming to terms like, this is what we're going to do all day. Just watch, like, we have nothing to do. We're going to watch 5 hours of movies.
Goals
is super, charming, and they earn it through everything they have before. And it's talking about the stand-up, watching her be very successful, but then also just like trash it during his depression was just, pretty real, and worked. It used the stand-up dramatically. It made it part of the story. Watching her performances, I hope you understand the character better. And she's completely, to me, is a real character. She is someone I have fallen in love with 10 times in my life at some point. That kind of character, and I had many friends like her in college. Not romantic interest because I lack confidence, but just the stellar, persona that she created with us. So Obvious Child for sure. Tears, laughter, and my heart grew 5 sizes that day.
Just that day. It wasn't the day you were
Then it shrunk because I saw Deadpool 2.
Okay, just making sure you want to get that in there. All right, so Obvious Child is up for top 7. Gonna go to Henry.
Yeah, Obvious Child. It's one of those where, similar to High Fidelity. Thank you, Zach, for making me watch this. This is a movie where one of 824's better movies and more underrated movies as well. Jenny Slate does a fantastic job in this role. Crocs are awesome. Don't forget about that. And the relationship with their mom's also really funny. It's just so awkward because her mom is that top tier person. But then when she actually goes to her and is like, hey, I'm going through some shit. Her mom's just like, yeah, that's fine. We can handle this. And she was not expecting her mom to be like that because she's such a hard ass. And I think that's kind of a good message to have out there for people, for adults who have tough parents, where it's sometimes you just need to reach out to your parents and like they're hard on you because, sometimes you just need to be, your parents need to be hard on you to like be a good influence. But also if you need someone to be there, they'll be there for you. Or it's also a good message for the parents like, hey, you can be hard on your kids, but also if they need you, be there. So it has all the elements. So it's hilarious and it's got that nice charm to it that, you like in a movie. So Obvious Child, obviously gonna make it. Hopefully.
Also, I forgot to mention there's puppets. So yes, of course.
Yes, I had the Zach Forrest have approval right there. Going to Joe.
Obvious Child. I see a lot of my own relationship with my parents, with her relationship with her mom, where they were always hard on me. But so to me, I think it has that personal connection where not only does it have a realistic depiction of love, but it also has a realistic depiction of a parent and child relationship, and the stand-up comedy is hilarious. And even watching her mom, even with secondhand embarrassment involved, you kind of still laugh at it. And it's so, to me, Obvious Child is just one of those movies where it fires on all cylinders and is a very rewatchable movie, whether you want to watch it for to see a parent and child relationship, a romance movie, or a comedy movie. It has something for everyone who wants to watch a movie, in my opinion. So yes.
IJO.
Okay, let's wrapping up to a no. How pissed would Zach be if I vetoed this and got it off the list?
I would be pissed.
I'm not gonna do it. Obvious Child stays in our top 7. We have our top 7.
I'm gonna join the Cody boycott. No more top 5. How dare one person start a dictatorship?
We will not take this abuse. So yeah, we have our top 7. Malcolm, what would you say about Obvious Child?
I've never heard of it till this very moment.
Okay.
Hey, but this guy loves movie 43, so there's that.
That makes things complicated. That might make things complicated going forward.
No. I mean, honestly, I don't think it ever came out in cinemas in New Zealand. So
I believe that.
Okay, well, Malcolm, after we do the top 5 9/11 jokes, we're going to do the top 5 abortion movies. So watch it by then, so you're prepared.
Jesus. What else could be on that list? I'm very curious. Comment below. See what else will be on that list. So we have our top 7. Before we move on, we got to go through all mentions. For me, one that I wanted to throw up, but I know had probably no chance of making it. 13 Going on 30. I really do enjoy the movie. I think it's fun. I think Jennifer Garner's great. Love her, Mark Ruffalo. Another one like that, Hitch, aka the best Kevin James movie that will probably ever be made because he's crap taking projects. And also Will Smith and Eva Mendes are good in that movie. Other ones, Wedding Crashers, Set It Up on Netflix, Silver Linings Playbook, Enough Said, Adventureland, Definitely Maybe, which I would have thrown in just to see if Zach would have ranted or not. Cyrus, Crazy Stupid Love, Drinking Buddies, which I just rewatched and it's great. Go check it out. And Crazy Rich Asians, just for production value and for great heart and great romance. So Zach, any other mentions for you?
Okay, here you go. Buckle in, guys. That's my short list. Adventureland was my traditional romantic comedy that is probably pretty bad, but I could watch any day of the holiday. Garden State loosely comedy, but Natalie Portman charms my socks and shirt and gloves off. I was gonna be witty and try to do I Love You Man as a romantic comedy because that is a romantic relationship between the two.
Is that wrong?
Celeste and Jesse Forever, Drinking Buddies, Band-Aid, which is a little not necessarily romantic. It's almost a marriage falling apart, but how they save it. Wonderful movie. You haven't seen it. What If They Came Together, Sleep with Other People, The Lobster. Probably would have been my next pick to get something weird on there. Eternal Sunshine, I think, should count in a way. It's still more drama.
I didn't think of that one, but I do love that movie.
Yeah, I didn't pick it because it's not really a comedy.
Exactly.
Same thing with Before Sunset or Before Midnight can classify. Definitely work as romances. 50 First Dates, I really fall for. Moonrise Kingdom, it's lower in my Wes Anderson list, but still a Wes Anderson movie. And Beginners, which people think of as the Christopher Plummer coming out old and gay and dying. movie, but it actually like almost more front and center is Ewan McGregor's relationship with Melanie Laurent, which I find really charming.
All right, so Malcolm, any honorable mentions for you?
Yeah, I mean, I also had Hitch and 13 Going on 30 on mine. I also had How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I do actually strangely enjoy that movie a little bit. I was going to bring it up, though, but I had 50 First Dates. I had The 5-Year Engagement. I also had The Lobster. And just as a pick that I was considering that I knew wasn't going to get on, but I actually really did enjoy Isn't It Romantic?
Interesting. All right. Joe.
My actual next choice, if we would have gotten back around me, was going to be Adventureland. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, actually. So, yeah, and I think Jesse Eisenberg's great in that movie.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. And Henry, anything else you want to bring up?
So when I was talking about the Adam Sandler thing, it was between Punch Drunk and 50 First Dates. I was like, if any of you guys are going to put Adam Sandler on there, it would be between those two. Maybe not Punch Drunk because of technicality, and also 50 First Dates because just the romance. It's heartbreaking. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, that's one of those where it's like, it's definitely a romance and it's definitely a comedy, but you don't think of it as a romantic comedy. So you just, I don't know if people would have gone for it. But Don John, another one where I thought this fantastic, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and everything he goes through, and old lady Julianne Moore is just fantastic. Trainwreck, the movie isn't a train wreck, so I thought that was pretty solid. Warm Bodies, that was definitely one of those where it's just it really has that life to it, if you know what I mean. She's Out of My League, the Kat Dennings movie that I was talking about earlier. Huge fan of that movie. It has some generic elements to it, but it's just so charming and lovable. And web feet are not a bad thing. Juno. I don't know if anyone said that. I'm a big fan of Overboard that came out last year. I'm like the only one in the history that likes it, but I really like that movie. And the fact that it was like cynical at the beginning, where Anna Faris, convinced him to like be a husband, but then like they actually truly fall in love, and like he like loves her kids and stuff, and it really has a lot of heart to it. So I think that's one of those movies a lot of people are like, I didn't like it, I didn't see it, but I didn't actually like it. And then last but not least, it's more of an action, but it's hilarious, but it's definitely a comedy. This Means War. Mick G, Chris Pine, Tom Hardy, and Reese Witherspoon. That movie is hilarious.
It is
and has so much romance to it. So
I actually agree with Henry on that one. I like This Is War as well.
Yeah. You feel good about your company right now, Henry. Okay, so we have our top 7. It's 500 Days of Summer, Knocked Up, The Big Sick, High Fidelity, Punch Drunk Love, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and Obvious Child. The great top 7. I've come to the hard part. This is the elimination.
This is my favorite top 7 we've ever had.
Really? Interesting. Now we go to the opposite of round 1. This is the elimination round. We're just going to go around and nominate a different movie to get off the top 7 until we get to a top 5. But Malcolm, you didn't have anything make the top 7. So you now have the ability to strike anything you want without it going to a vote.
This is your consolation prize for being the ultimate loser.
But I mean, yeah, I'm not going to bother trying to get the ones I've not seen off because it's going to be pointless. But I'm going to try Punch Drunk Love should be off. It's a good movie. I don't think the comedy sort of stands out in it, and compared to what's there, it's probably the one that I would probably say is number 7.
All right, so Punch Drunk Love is off the top 7. And who put this up? Henry put it up. So I'm going to go ahead and get the next cut.
I'm going to go, it's between these two for different reasons. I'm going to go Knocked Up. It's between that and Sarah Marshall, but I think the Knocked Up is a better parent movie, less than romance. I feel like the romance gets there, but I think the focus is on them being a parent. So if I had to choose between the two, I think the romance of Jason Segel and Mila Kunis is better. So if I had to pick between the two, which that's what I'm doing, is I'm going Knocked Up.
All right, so Knocked Up is up for top 7. Zach, you put it on. Does it stay or does it go?
That destroys my heart. I can't even. I might have to leave this.
Think about my reasoning, though. It's a parent movie.
This is coming up. No, it's a great romance. The whole movie revolves around them, coming together through this pregnancy. Fuck you. It stays.
Okay, fuck you. Fuck you. It stays.
The best. The best.
Joe, knocked up. There does it go.
I think Henry actually convinced me with his reasoning behind that it is.
Semantics.
Yeah.
Don't fall for semantics.
He actually made a good point. It's more about them being parents than it is them being a couple, and I think for that reason I will be the second vote to put it on the chopping block.
What is parenting if not the greatest romance? It is the successful fruit of a romance.
Hey, how many parents do you know that aren't even together, but they're still good parents? So
Hey.
I think that's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
I
All right,
sense
well-
your jealousy. It's okay.
All right, Malcolm, we're going to you next. Knocked up. There does it go.
I'm fine for it going.
You're knocking it off?
I'm knocking off, knocked up.
All right, knocked up is knocked off. Zach, I would have helped you. I would have said it stays.
Yeah, this
It
is.
doesn't matter what I say. Knocked up does not move on to top.
I
5.
changed my mind. This list is shit. You're all shit. I'm shit. We're all shit together.
All right, so
With a shit family.
We now come to the ranking part of the show. We're almost done.
Yeah,
We're almost
that sounds like Mike Myers' next horrible movie, The Shit Family.
Okay, basically, the way this next part works is a spot. We're going to rank these movies now. So, our top 5 is, just a reminder, 500 Days of Summer, The Big Sick, High Fidelity, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and Obvious Child. So, the way this works is we're going to, a spot on the list is going to be up for voting. We're each going to vote right down on our whiteboards what we think should go on that spot. We're going to go 5, 4, 3, and then the number 1 movie on the list. So, if you all write down what movie you think should go in the number 5 spot.
Let me grab my whiteboard.
No worries. We didn't want to be prepared.
It's okay. I need time.
Yeah, that's got to make his drawing, so I'll forgive you.
I wonder if he's drawing a bunch of puppets right now.
Depends on the movie.
Drawing a bunch of what? Penguins?
Puppets. Drawing a bunch of penguins.
Can we decide that Zach's deaf?
Yeah, I can't hear anything.
Get a hearing aid. All right. I think most people who aren't drawing already. I'm gonna go me first. I have Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Henry.
Because I think of this also as a buddy comedy, especially in comparison to the rest of them. High Fidelity.
All right, Joe.
I had Obvious Child as my number 5.
Oh boy.
All right, Malcolm.
Just because I've never seen it, Obvious Child.
Well, see what Zach has. Is like this might.
I want to change my pick now. This is a big guy coughing. It's The Big Sick.
All right, well, because he didn't go with anything either one me or Henry said, Obvious Child is number 5.
In theory, Zach, what would you have gone if you switched?
Wait, what was my options? Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Forgetting Marshall or what was the what did you
High
do? High Fidelity.
Oh, that's obvious. It would have been Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
And then Henry would have had to change his vote, which he would have gone. I'm not sure what he would have gone.
No, I guess
Probably for
give it away. Don't want to give it away.
All right, so going to the number 4 movie on the list.
I can't find my eraser right now, so I'm using a note card to erase my board. Oh, I didn't even have to erase. I guess I should. No, I didn't have to erase my board. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, you didn't have to erase it because
I haven't been on in a while.
Your vote shouldn't change.
Yeah. The show's on my channel and haven't been on in a while. I forgot.
The rule is you get banned for a month if you change your vote.
It's not the official rule. It's just something Zach places in his head. That's what I have to enforce.
I mean, it also really makes sense, so it's fair.
All right, so I'm going to me first. I have again Forgetting Sarah Marshall at 4. Henry, I'm assuming you haven't changed.
Fidelity High.
Okay.
That's
I'm
that's a
assuming
high school
Zach
movie.
hasn't changed either.
Well, I changed my picture. This is a giant booger, The Big Sick.
All right, so it's up to Joe and Malcolm. Malcolm, what do you have?
Also, just because I've never seen it, High Fidelity.
All right, and Joe.
High Fidelity.
Yeah, this
High
list
Fidelity.
is utter bullshit. All my top 3 cut out, 4 and 5. Dumbasses.
You're tearing me apart, guys.
This is going so well.
Not for you.
Wow. All right. I think the motto of the show is now just fuck Zach Ford because both his top two are in the bottom of five.
It's okay. I can maintain my feeling of individuality and superiority because I don't agree with your shitty taste. I'm better.
All right, so we'd have the number 3 spot on the list. Going to go to Zach. I hope you didn't erase your picture.
No, I did because I'm so pissed. You don't deserve a picture. You just get the big set.
That's how you know Zach is pissed. We won't even make a picture. It just writes the words. Yeah, Finn, thanks for getting Sarah Marshall. Henry.
Because out of the 3 left, this is more of a family drama, so I'm going Big Sick.
What the fucking equation is that? Joe.
Henry's only going by semantics.
The Big Sick.
Well, because I'm ranking them based on the order.
So, and that was the Big Sick is Big Sick's number 3.
I also had
All right.
the Big Sick too, just
No one cares. Just kidding.
So we now go to the number 1 movie on the list. Is it 500 Days of Summer or is it Forgetting Sarah Marshall? No idea. Colors ran this deep for this film. This is actually not hard for me because everyone knows what I got. I've been trying to get it on the list. The much lower spot this entire time. I have 500 Days of Summer. Going to Henry.
Here's my park bench. If you know the movie, you know what it is.
Okay, we know what it is. That's two votes for 500 Days of Summer. Malcolm.
How much is it? 500 Days of Summer.
Joe,
What
what do you have?
Summer, they're banned from Confidential Cinema.
What do you have, Joe?
500 Days of Summer.
And Zach, was it a clean sweep?
Are you getting banned?
She's saying, oh no, a penis, and that's his dick.
Okay, so he was the only one that didn't have it. But it doesn't matter what Zach had because we have our top 5. So our top 5 romantic comedy of the 21st century are number 5, Obvious Child. Number 4, High Fidelity. Number 3, The Big Sick. Number 2, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. And the number 1, 500 Days of Summer. I think it's almost like Henry had a hand in this, but whatever. No. So regardless, this was an interesting show to say the least. Funny to see Zach Paul react to his picks getting shut down.
Pretty great.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you everybody who watched. Thanks to Henry. Thanks to my panel. And yeah, I will see you next time.